y'all doing? So it's been over a month since my last video, and for my 7 subscribers, I do apologize for that. My motivation to do much of anything kind of up and faded away on me. That was until a creator that some of you might know as Baby Carrot Art posted their OC drawing challenge, where she drew her original character Daisy for about a week straight.
When I'll do anything, I'll do whatever it takes to...
Pretty much after watching their video, I knew I wanted to do this challenge, and I knew what OC I was going to use. My Call of Duty OC, which if you followed my Instagram, you've probably seen dozens of times. Frasier. He's my pride and joy. Ever since I first draw him, he became kind of an obsession, which I've admittedly never had with an OC before, at least until I made him. Moving on to the challenge, the first prompt was default design, which I'll be honest, I never really had for him until now. Also, this was not like the first drawing I did for the base. The first drawing I did for the base drawing did not look like Frasier in the way I wanted it to, but I was actually 3 prompts in before realizing, meh, I'm gonna change it, I don't like this, and instead decided to take the drawing I did for the 3rd prompt and basically reshape it and recolor it to him being him in his underwear, and used that as the base. It's basically just a dress-up doll that you put clothing on. As for the outfit I gave him kind of a country-ish style. I grew up around men that dressed like this all the time and felt it fit him very well, even though he's an Irishman. I was tempted to give him more of like an old money style, but decided against it. On to the next prompt, you have to draw your OC, but as their old design. And I will be honest, redrawing Frasier like this kind of made me laugh. Because when I first designed him, I basically just made him this big, tall, tan-looking guy, and I had named him Ross at the time, which I had changed, obviously. But what amused me so much was, now that I draw him in my current style, the more realistic style that I have, the semi-realistic style, I realize how much Frasier's old design as Ross kind of looks like my brother. Honestly, if I took my brother, straightened his hair, slicked it back, made him taller, and gave him more of a muscular build, it would be this character. He would be Ross. Which I have no idea why I find this funny, but I do. I find it hilarious. Now, to talk about when I first made Ross, I basically, as I said before, just kind of made this big, tall, tan guy that looks mean. But I gave him nothing else. I didn't give him where he was supposed to be in the Call of Duty franchise world, wherever you would call it. I didn't give him a rank. I didn't give him what he'd be working as, if he was a mechanic, a sniper. I have no idea. I didn't give him that. But yeah, I look back at this and basically just kind of giggle because it's a bigger, meaner looking version of my brother. For the 3rd drawing prompt, you have to draw your character in a formal outfit. And I will be honest, when I got to this prompt, I was giddy as shit. I always had an idea of what Frasier would look like in a formal outfit, but never really had a reason to draw it until now. Now, while we are on the subject of drawing his outfit, if you do recognize some of the references, 2 of them to be exact, I'm using a reference from Dutch from Red Dead Redemption 2, because I love the style of the suit vest that he wears. I think that's what it's called, like a formal suit vest, whatever the fuck. So when I really started working with Frasier on what I wanted him to look like, things that he might dress as in formal events and stuff, I was reminded of Dutch's suit vest, which I love it. I love the thing. I don't know why. I just fucking do. I was like, I want to put that on Frasier now. Now, I need it on him now. Fucking put it on him! I promise I'm normal about this, man. Mildly.
I'm gnawing at the iron bars of my enclosure.
But yeah, this was very much an outfit I loved to draw, and this is one of my favorite drawings of Frasier now, is him in this formal sort of suit vest, you know, going to a party, I'm gonna be a fancy motherfucker. I love this outfit, okay? I love this outfit, I love this drawing, I love it. But I will also be honest, drawing this one, because I put like a lot of effort into this one. I did. I wanted it to look good. I was like, it's Frasier in a fancy ass looking outfit looking good. I'm gonna put everything I have into it. And because I did that, the next prompt is very lackluster. I will admit. I was pretty lazy with the next one. Now, for your fourth prompt, you have to draw a school uniform. At least that's what the prompt says. And I'll be honest, I got stuck on this one for about a day or two figuring out what I should do, because Frasier, my OC, he is 46. He is a grown-ass man. Why would he be in a school uniform? Then I thought, okay, well, I mean, I could just draw him aged down, but I didn't really feel like that because you're supposed to do that for another prompt. I was being lazy. And I was like, alright, well, what if I drew him as a teacher? You know, put him in, like, teacher's clothes. But then I was like, teacher's clothes are just kind of regular day clothes. You're then in, like, a preparatory school where you wear outfits. Uniforms. So I didn't go with that either. I didn't feel like doing that. So I sat and thought, and then went, oop, light bulb, I have an idea. And for the prompt, instead of drawing him in a school uniform, I decided to draw him when he was younger, a little bit younger, taking his daughter Sophie to school for the first time. And I put her in the school uniform. I know, brilliant. I'm so smart. I found myself a way around not having to draw a grown man in a school uniform. Because it was either that or I did like a little skit where he had to do it as a dare. And then he was in like a little girl school uniform. Anyway, that is the drawing. I'll be honest, I was pretty lackluster in wanting to do this one. So as you can see, I just did the sketch and line art. On to prompt number 5. The fifth prompt is PJs. But there's a bit of a problem there because Frasier, the way I imagine him, he is not the type of man to wear pajamas to bed. I see him as the kind of guy that kind of just strips his clothes off and sleeps in the nude. And I mean, technically I could draw that, but, you know, this is YouTube. You can get in some serious shit if you just suddenly post a drawing of a naked dude. We are not on Twitter. Sadly, there are restrictions about nudity on YouTube. I don't know why I said sadly. So instead, I found a bit of a loophole by just kind of drawing him sleeping in the early morning. Arms over a pillow, messy hair. He's tired. He's eepy. Leave him alone. But while you watch the speed paint, you will see that I was actually going to do more for the background, like outside the window. But by the time I had finished this drawing, it was nearly 2 o'clock in the morning, so I kind of just said, screw it, did the grass, a fence, and some sky. I even contemplated putting, like, a picture or a painting or something up on the wall, or even making, like, wallpaper. But again, I was just tired and said, screw it. Also, you'll see that, and I did add it in the other pictures, but I actually went back and added it. You'll see that I added this sort of texture to all my drawings. What I did was I went into the adjustments in Procreate and took the noise thing where it's like TV static, turned that up all the way, and then just adjusted the opacity so the drawing would have like a nice texture to it. Something I recently started doing and now love. For prompt number 6, you have to draw their fursona. So basically what they would look like as an animal. I already knew I was going to draw him as a grizzly bear since his nickname is literally Bear. But I will be honest, I'm not a furry artist. I'm not even a furry. I probably was sometime when I was a kid, but I am not now. And that's not saying I have anything against people who dress up as furries. People will be people, and I understand that. Anyway, onto the drawing. As I said, I already knew I was going to draw Frasier as a bear since that is literally his nickname. So I went through a couple references on Pinterest, found the Beastars book style on how they draw their anthropomorphic characters, and tried to replicate the Beastars book style best I could. It's not great, I will admit, but I'll be honest, I didn't really feel like doing this prompt anyway. Prompt number 6 is as a kid or adult. Frasier is an adult already. He is a grown man, so I drew him as a child. I thought about drawing him as a kid with his 2 brothers, but couldn't find a stock photo that I liked of 3 kids, so just decided to use a photo from someone from what I'm guessing is a movie and or show. Which movie or show it is, I have no idea. If you do, feel free to comment it and maybe I'll look it up. As for this drawing, again, I got pretty lazy. I was feeling really tired and didn't really feel like coloring it, so what I did was make it kind of a black and white photo, a really bad one. I did the sketch in line art and then just added a bunch of shading and like how a human's natural blush would sit and left it at that. Again, not one of my favorite drawings. I might actually try and do something maybe later on, because I do want to draw some stuff for Frasier's background when he was younger. But other than that, yeah, this is pretty much it. I didn't feel like doing much. For the 8th prompt, it is at the beach or swimwear. I went with something fairly simple, just found a picture of a guy sitting at the beach with his phone in his hand. Did what I usually do by basically taking the form and just shaping it out to look like Frasier, which you'll actually see Baby Carrot do in some of her videos as well. She doesn't rely on it too much for hers though, and I will admit I relied on it for almost everything in this video. When I first started the challenge, I was already pretty lackluster in wanting to do much. I was feeling pretty tired, both emotionally and physically. And by the time I had actually drawn this prompt, it was nearly a week after I did the 7th one. And the reason for the gap in days between this prompt and the last one that you just saw was because a close family member of mine had passed away on the 1st of the month. And it had honestly left me not wanting to do much of anything for about a week. And I was tempted to just kind of quit the challenge. But eventually I told myself to just suck it up. And I will be honest, I pretty much used this prompt and every prompt after as a bit of a distraction between what had happened. But yeah, that is Frasier at the beach. And despite my mindset while doing this drawing, I am actually very proud of it. I like how I did the shading because instead of just what I usually do where I take the skin tone and the hair color and dark it down, I actually took shades of blues and red to get it done. On to the next prompt. On to prompt number 9. You are to draw your OC in winter clothing, or basically just what they would wear when it's cold outside, whether if they go for a function or fashion. With Frasier, I see him being the sort of guy that does not get cold easily. This man permanently runs hot, so he thrives in like cold, damp climates, which kind of makes sense since he grew up in Ireland. Unlike myself, who needs a sweater when I go into the freezer section of Walmart, I can see him putting on a jacket and leaving it at that. Because he doesn't get cold, that's pretty much all he needs. On to prompt number 10. The 10th prompt is opposite fashion sense. So for Frasier, who has a very masculine sense of style, I thought I would kind of make a joke out of this. I found this photo of a soldier opening the door to one of their superiors while wearing a maid costume and kind of thought I'd make my own spin on it. I basically tamed it down because Frasier as a character, you could not get him into a maid costume like that. So instead, I had him opening the door to Gaz, a character in the game Modern Warfare, while Frasier is wearing a knitted cat shirt that Roslyn, my other Call of Duty OC, made him. And Gaz is kind of just standing there telling himself not to laugh repeatedly at the sight of a 6'6" Irishman wearing a cat shirt. I had a lot of fun drawing this one for the sheer fact I found it was funny as hell. Frasier, with a beard, he's got this shirt on that's got a cat holding a loaf of bread. He's got sweatpants, his hair's down, and Gaz is just standing there going, don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh. While drawing this, though, I had some struggle trying to figure out how to draw that angle of Gaz's face. I found a couple references that I went off of that helped a lot, but still, I don't think it looks 100% like him. Either way, I still really like this, and I find it really funny. So funny, in fact, that I did like a meme drawing again after drawing this one. Because, you know what, it was Pride Month, and I was like, okay, screw it, let's just do it, and I drew this thing. Again, needlessly funny to me, I'm sorry. But yeah, for this, I basically just looked up, like, queer fashion sense, if you could call it that. Found the picture of the cat shirt, and went, you know what, we gonna do that. And if you follow my Instagram, you've probably already seen this one. And the one with him with the pride flag. I found it too funny not to post. On to the next prompt. Prompt number 11 is with a character that your OC is closest to. And for Frasier, that would be my other OC, Roslyn. She's basically like a daughter to him, and a character overall that makes the hole in his chest from the loss of his biological daughter, Sophie, a bit more bearable. But they're very much the grumpy old man and some girl he found and decided is his daughter gimmick. Roslyn's very much the quiet and sweet character type, one that works herself to the bone to try and prove a point she doesn't really need to prove. But she does also have a bit of a temper, especially with people who are ignorant and or disrespectful. And Frasier's very much the chronically angry old guy who's very stern and tough on people, but despite having that personality, he can't help but have a bit of a soft spot for young people like Roslyn. Now, for a bit about this drawing, this one is my favorite. I like the way the coloring came out, the line art, how I shaded the face even though I didn't really do much, the way I styled them, all of that. And this totally wasn't also another excuse to draw Frasier in that outfit. This whole drawing, though, actually took me about 4 hours to do. I think that is the longest I have ever spent on a drawing. But I remember while drawing this one, I did 2 hours one day and then had to stop and go help my mom with a couple things. But then I came back the next morning and again spent 2 hours hardly stopping while I worked on this drawing. I think the whole time, the only time I ever took a break was to stretch my back, get a drink, or get something to eat. I don't know, something about this drawing specifically made the little cells in my brain go, okay, we cooking here. We ain't stopping until it is a feast. Let's go. I got a very slight serotonin boost while making this one, I will be honest. And I'm not going to complain because I really like how it turned out. Now, I'm going to speed up the process a bit here because, one, I don't have really much else to talk about, but also the speed paint. Video recording alone, because I use Procreate, I think was about a minute long. So yeah, that's fun. But yeah, still really proud about this one. Really happy about it. I like the way it turned out. in general. Took really long, but it gave me something to do. On to the next one. Prompt 12 is character that your OC is least closest to. And for Frasier, understandably, that would be his ex-wife, Elizabeth, who I'll just call Liz for short. Now, I actually plan on making an animatic about their story, but I'll tell it to you guys anyway. Pretty much, Frasier met Elizabeth when he had originally joined the military. They had a bit of a hookup, and she ended up pregnant and didn't want to get rid of the baby, and neither did Frasier. So to make things right, Frasier left his job in the front lines and married Elizabeth. That way he could be a part of his new baby's life and wouldn't have to be gone for months on end and, not watch her grow. A couple months after Liz had given birth to Sophie, Frasier came home from his new job as a welder. When he came through the doors, he found Sophie had been left alone by herself in the house, so Frasier had picked her up and began searching the house for Liz, thinking the worst. After searching their house top to bottom with baby Sophie in hand, he eventually found Liz at the creek behind their house. He was about to say something when he first spotted her, but then paused when he noticed that Liz was using a less than legal substance. After that, for both Sophie's safety and his own, he had divorced Elizabeth and yada yada yada. I'm going to leave it at that because, again, I actually plan on making an animatic out of it because, lore. As for the actual drawing, again, I just did a sketch. I was burnt out from the previous drawing. But I'm actually really proud of the side profile that I got for Frasier. So proud of it that I actually use it for a reference in the next drawing, which you will see soon. As for this one, I basically just left it a sketch, did the background, and then just did some mild shading and comic bubbles, speech bubbles, and left it at that. I was pretty tired this day. On to the next one, prompt 13, you are to draw your OC and their hobby. And for Frasier, he's a stereotypical man through and through. His favorite pastime is to go out to the river and fish. So that's what I drew. I drew him by the river with his bloodhound that I decided to name Walleye because fishing. And again, I'm actually really proud of this one. I really like the way it turned out. Though, as you will see in a couple minutes, I do really badly need to work on my backgrounds. So yeah, that's something I'm going to be practicing eventually. But other than that, I think this is one of my second favorite pieces out of this whole art challenge ever. This one, again, took me longer than usual, about 3 hours to be exact. But I think that's more the fact of I was, again, really tired while drawing this one. But I didn't want to give up because I already really liked the sketch that I had done. And I didn't want to just leave it a sketch. I actually wanted to color and somewhat shade it. So, tiredness on top of wanting to get this done equals whatever the heck you would call this. Still really like it though. 1 for 1, proud of it. That was speeding up a video again because we'd be here for another minute. But yeah, I do really need to practice backgrounds because if I was good at them, I think I would love this drawing even more. But I was honestly kind of lazy with this one. So, I mean I was, but I wasn't. I did a fair good job with Frasier and Walleye, but then once it got to the backgrounds, I kind of just... On to the next one. Now, I'm going to stop here a minute, and I'm going to be honest. For the 14th prompt, you're supposed to draw your OC in, a Halloween costume. And to be truthful, I was not feeling this one. I tried to think of what I would do. Maybe I'd have him dress up as an orc, a cowboy, or even a werebear to go off that bear nickname. But after 2 weeks of contemplating it, I gave up and just decided to skip this one. And so we go on to the final prompt, which is number 15, family portrait. Now, for this one, I just did line art and flat color. Again, I was getting really tired and kind of wanted to be over with this. but also didn't want to give up since I was like so close. So for this drawing, I just did one of Frasier and Rosalind hugging. I wanted to include the dog, Walleye, but I couldn't find a stock photo I wanted to go off of for the life of me. So instead I went off of more like a selfie style of Frasier and Rosalind hugging, which isn't very in character for Frasier. He's more the type of guy to pat someone on the head or pat them on the back and kind of just leave it at that. But there's several things in this challenge that I did of Frasier that are not in character for him. But yeah, it's just a sketch, line art, and flat color with a little bit of blush, and then like a funky background. But you know what? I like this one, even if it is a little lazy and proportionally kind of off when it comes to Rosalind's face. But you know what? Who cares? I'm done. I am finally done. This took me so much longer than it should have. This whole challenge, I planned to get it done within like 2 to 3 weeks, and it ended up taking me 2 months because of the fact that I literally lost so much motivation throughout the time of trying to do this challenge. At one point, I had art block for like 3 weeks. It was grueling, but it is over. I did it. I completed my first ever art challenge. It took me 2 months when I meant for it to take like 2 weeks. And I had a lot of bullshit happen to me in the process of trying to do all of this. But you know what? I did it, and I'm proud of myself for not giving up despite some of the things that had happened and my mindset throughout all of it. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, even though my mic sucks. And sure, some pieces look better than others, but either way, I'm happy and I'm proud of myself. And honestly, I guess that's kind of the point of some of these challenges, is the fact you struggle, but eventually you do have fun with it. But thank you again, and I will see you guys next time.